Okay, so let's turn it over to Mr. Romaric, Compaoré.
Let's consider two United States, the United States of Africa and the United States of America. But unlike the second United States, the first one still remains a dream that Africans should transform into reality if they want to, first of all, gain control of their own economy, and second of all, if they want to develop that economy so that the majority of the Africans get relatively better lives. As we all know, Africa is like the richest continent in terms of natural resources. But unfortunately, those Africans don't even have 100% control on those natural resources, because foreign investors, mainly Europeans and Asians, still exploit, own and control those natural resources. And so, like, an investor that comes to Burkina, knowing that we do not have the required machinery to exploit our own resources, doesn't really give the Burkinabe the choice, because if we don't, then they'll probably move next door to Ghana and find that exact same rule. And so, because we are divided, there are the same resources in a lot of different countries. But what if all those natural resources were part of one nation? What if the gold in Burkina and in Ghana belonged to the Africans? Because right now, Burkina Faso only gets 10% from the gold exploitation. And I also remember neighboring Niger's president accepting only 30% from the uranium exploitation. So if Africa is united, and if all those natural resources belong to only one population, then on one hand, those Europeans would have no choice but accept the conditions of the Africans, because having nowhere else to find those natural resources, since all of them belong to the Africans. And on the other hand, the Africans, because now we have the opportunity to say their word, to kind of impose their conditions and to get the real value from those natural resources if they still want to deal with investors, because now they're united and therefore stronger, can be able to develop their own machinery and exploit those natural resources and benefit from them at 100%. CFA means Colonie Française d'Afrique, or literally in English, African French colonies. And so just by looking at the name, you can already see that French still control our currency. French still control the CFA, and they still control our economy. And so, not even the name only. Have you guys ever wondered why, unlike the euro and the dollar, the value of the CFA never increases or decreases? Actually, it does. Because, in fact, one of my history and geography teachers explained that as the French still control the CFA, whenever the value of the currency increases, they take off the surplus and keep it for themselves. And when the value of the currency decreases, they put in some money to make it stable. Not even because of that. And by the way, an article, a reliable article about this published that French gained $400 billion just by manipulating the CFA. It is our money, guys. In addition to that, 14 African countries have to give 85% from their annual reserves, their money, the money of their country, to France as a matter of a post-colonial agreement. How can we be economically independent? How can we get to control our own lives? I think the only way to do that is by getting united, standing up together, creating that United States of Africa. Because if only one person stands up for this, then we'll probably be in trouble. And a good example would be Thomas Sankara at the Vitel conference. In fact, he called for a politically and economically more united Africa. And besides that, he talked about some debt that African countries owed Europeans, and he told the other African president to like create a group and together say no to paying that debt. But the most interesting about that is that at the end he actually said that if he were the only one talking about a united Africa and not paying the debt, then he probably won't be present at the next conference. And guess what? He wasn't present at the next conference because by that time he got killed. What if all those Africans, what if all those presidents agreed to go with him? Would they all be killed? Probably not. And this example of Thomas Sankara shows that one of the objectives of the Europeans is to keep Africa divided so that they can get that system to carry on. Because like, if Africans get together, then they will be able to develop together and say no to that injustice, like those black Americans in the United States that gathered, all of them, to ask for more rights. That is the only way to do it. To get out of that slavery from those Europeans, it is necessary to do it. Yes, Europeans control our lives, they block our development, but Africans are also guilty because most African leaders care more about their personal interests as opposed to caring about the population's interests. And like they share the wealth of the country between family members or ethnic group members, which is called tribalism. And an example would be that a documentary about the previous Gabonese president, Omar Bongo, explained that he spent millions of francs CFA redecorating a hotel in France that everybody thought was too expensive. While in Gabon, not all the hospitals even have enough clean tap water. And this will not exist in the United States of Africa. This will stop in the new version of Africa because that will not help us develop. And some people say, how can we even create a United States of Africa if even within those African countries there are conflicts? And the following quote from Kwame Nkrumah partly answers it, because he says that by creating a political union which by its success will also stand as an example to a divided world. And basically what he's trying to say is that Africans should just leave all those conflicts behind to work together. They should show the world that they can actually get united, develop together, and show to that divided world that yes, they can. And that is what the new version of Africa will look like. And Western Africa will actually be a state as well as the other regions in Africa. Why? Because as we can see on that little information sheet, the Mandinka, for example, an ethnic group, are present in almost all the African countries as well as other ethnic groups. And this actually shows that West Africans share almost the same people. They share almost the same beliefs and almost the same culture. That is why they're going to be grouped in only one state, as well as like people in Northern Africa, for example, and other regions. However, even if there will be only one president governing the whole thing, it will kind of increase those conflicts between people by the creation of those regions as states. What will be the official language of the United States of Africa? And an answer to this would be that all official languages coming from the colonizer would be kept as official languages. Because having a lot of official languages doesn't harm the economy, it doesn't block the development. And an example would be that South Africa has 11 official languages, but is still considered as one of the most developed countries in Africa. And so language is not a problem. And because we changed Africa as one state, I think it's not a good idea to like create new official languages, because what we what we can see now is that most Africans have already adopted the language of the colonizers, and will just keep it. To conclude, I would say that some people would always think that creating a United States of Africa is stupid or doesn't make sense or is not even possible. But what I would say, the message to all the Africans is that they have to do it. I think that it is the only way for the Africans to develop. I think that is the only way to get out of that slavery from those colonizers, those European colonizers. And I also think that it is the only way Africans could get more respect from the rest of the world. And I will conclude by saying that Kwame Nkrumah mentioned that divided we are weak. United, Africa could become one of the greatest forces for good in the world. Thank you.